When you know one person with a disability, you only know the one person with a disability. When you know one person who has autism spectrum disorder, you only know one person with autism spectrum disorder. If you only know one person affected with Down syndrome, then you only know one person affected with Down syndrome. Disability is an individual human existence. It's part of the human culture. It's part of America. This population, now more than ever, is in danger of being ignored and locked away for convenience and fear, and this has to stop now. That is the topic of this week's episode of the Advocacy Life. Individuality. Hello. My name is Nunez, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Advocacy Life podcast and blog. This, of course, is the podcast. Disability and death are the only two certainties in life. There is a misconception in our world that disability will not affect everyone, when the fact is it's the opposite. It affects all of us. So let's bridge those gaps together in a fun, conversational style. Thanks for your time, and hope you enjoy the episode. Earlier this week, in late April of 2026, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., said some very appalling statements regarding home and community-based services. I'm not going to quote him directly. I'm going to paraphrase. I will leave an article from Disability Scoop in the show notes. But essentially, he was saying that families should not get paid to care for their loved ones. And because there's no way of verifying what they can do or what they are doing, that this should be eliminated, and it could be, it's wasteful and it leads to fraud. Again, I'm paraphrasing his remarks. Mr. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, once said, "We choose to do things not because they're easy, but because they are hard." That's what your uncle said. He was the president. He said that going to the moon. The goal was to get to the moon by the end of the decade. We did that by a lot of hard work, perseverance, and ingenuity of the American dream, the American society. How come in America only some of us are allowed to dream? How come in America only some of us are allowed to prosper? We're really going to break this down. I know I'm going to get into some good trouble in this episode. But sometimes, as we learned from past voices before us, we need to get in some good trouble. America is the land of opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I love America. I really do. I love having a disability. I really do. The reason why I love America so much is because I and millions across America can dream and be whatever we choose to be if we can take advantage of the right supports and the right opportunities that are presented before us. Everyone has doors, one way or another. All we have to do is choose to walk through them. How can we have doors to quote-unquote walk through if they're locked from the inside? Okay, let me say that again. We want to walk through doors, but they're locked from the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a socialist. I'm very, very much a capitalist. Okay? my books, my podcast, they're all sold for money. Okay? 200 more subscribers and I get to monetize YouTube. Like, I'm gonna throw that out there. So, I'm not gonna claim to be all innocent and be the innocent disability guy. Yes, I'm broke. Yes, I work hard. But I don't mind. Yes, my life is not easy. Yes, I cannot get out of bed on my own without someone there to help me. So before someone says, oh, you're just the lucky one, you don't understand the disability struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, I have cerebral palsy. I cannot do the quote-unquote simple tasks. Okay? I cannot clean my backside without help. I cannot shower on my own. As I said before, I cannot get a bed without someone there. I'm someone that requires total care. Okay? So before I say what I'm going to say, don't say, oh, he doesn't understand. He's just a lucky one because he can speak. No. I need just as much assistance, if not more, as tons of other disabled Americans. Let's get that out of the way first. It has been proven time and time and time again that home and community-based services, HCBS, is cheaper for society, cheaper for local and state economies than keeping someone locked away in an institution. Wait a minute, we've closed a whole bunch of institutions. Didn't we see all those documentaries in the 80s? Yes, you did. But guess what? The only reason we saw those documentaries in the 80s with Geraldo Rivera was because Robert Kennedy's father, in 1975, went to Long Island in Willowbrook and exposed those developmental centers, those institutions. He called them snake pits and compared them to zoos. That was his father. Now his son, Robert Kennedy Jr., if he keeps on with these dangerous policies, is going to put us right back in there. With the assumption that it is cheaper for the disability population to be institutionalized. Oh, wait a minute. We're not going to build big buildings. We're going to have you in the community, right? No. Ladies and gentlemen, a group home with 5 or 6 individuals without the right supports and trainings of the staff can be just as deadly as any big building. You're just building smaller prisons instead of larger ones that look nicer. Oh, but they'll get out once a week, right? And, they'll go to the mall and they'll eat their lunch at the mall. Ladies and gentlemen, going to the mall and eating a lunch that you brought. Ladies and gentlemen, going to the mall and eating the lunch that you brought is not inclusion, because you're not interacting with those individuals. You walk by them because they don't have social skills, or that's what you perceive. We are on the verge of a very dangerous precipice of going back to 1955, 1957, when those reports were first discovered. Only this time, how many will die? Does America want to go back or does it want to go forward? We need to choose now. There's nothing wrong with having conservative values. There's nothing wrong with having progressive values. This is about treating people with fairness and decency. If you give in a group home with 4 or 5, possibly 6 individuals, because that's what it's going to be, with 2, 3 staff tops, because let's be honest, we are at a direct care support crisis that was already a crisis prior to the pandemic. Now it's beyond crisis. People are going to die. And because of these damning statements, families are going to be left without alternatives but to go into these institutions or these group homes, because they're going to need to work. They're going to need, in America, I don't know anybody that doesn't have 2 or 3 jobs. That's fine. That's the America we live in. But if that's a regular person, quote unquote, what is a parent of a disabled person supposed to do? Raising a disabled child is approximately 20 to 25% more because of the cost of living. Now, the cost is what the cost is right now. This is not an economy podcast. We can do an economy in another episode. This is about giving families and the individuals they take care of an opportunity to grow. Taking someone to the doctor or getting their groceries, again, using Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s quote here, paraphrasing from this article. He's saying, oh, they're doing this stuff that they already do for free. Why should we be paying them for something they already do? Because it's the right thing to do. Don't cripple families because of one individual. Yes, I know there are thousands, possibly millions of Americans with complex medical and behavioral needs. Ladies and gentlemen, for 10 years of my life, I worked in a series of day programs, habilitation day centers. Habilitation day centers are basically daycare for grown adults. These are the ones that people forget about. I was the guinea pig. I was the one that trained the staff on how to help someone use a urinal, on how to help transfer someone. So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about here, because I do. I lived it. I was the one that they would use to show someone how to safely transfer them from a wheelchair to a toilet. That was me. That was my job. I was the one who taught female staff how to place a urinal. Okay? That was my job. I was that one. So, we need to take a breath here and stop putting Americans, our people, in boxes. One of the reasons why I love disability is because it doesn't matter how much you have in the bank account. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't care what you have or don't have in between your legs. That's all irrelevant. That's all miscellaneous. Because we all have some sort of disability. Yes, according to the CDC, 1 in 4 Americans has a disability. We know that. But that's just the ones that are reported, the ones that report themselves. One of the issues with having someone institutionalized is they don't have the opportunity to grow and to succeed. People will flourish in their homes, in their communities, where they can be seen by their neighbors. They can build relationships. Oh, but if they can't speak, wouldn't they be better off? Ladies and gentlemen, sorry to tell you this, but just because you can't use your voice, that doesn't mean you cannot communicate. I love my fellow individuals who are nonverbal or don't communicate verbally. One, because they can't be asked you. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. They have to tell you what they need, what they like, or what they don't like. Let me give you an example. And if by some miracle, the Secretary of Health and Human Services listens to this podcast, Mr. Kennedy, please do me a favor. And I would do this in my trainings. Take your shoes off, please, sir. Take your shoes off. And put them on the wrong feet. Walk around. Don't say anything to your staff. Don't say a word. See how long it takes the staff, your staff who you work with every day, to recognize and realize what's wrong with you. I've had our folks walk around with their shoes on the wrong feet the majority of the day because staff don't recognize it. Because staff don't look at people's feet. They don't recognize the small things. Why? Because they don't get training. They get thrown into the fire. They don't get certified before they start working with their individual. It's basically, here's Joey, here's a book about what Joey likes and doesn't like, or so we think. And take care of Joey. That's what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kennedy, people with disabilities are people first. Home and community-based services ensures our protection. It ensures our rights. It ensures our life. You are pro-life. I'm pro-life. Health and Human Services is pro-life. Health and Human Services is success. Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services is what's right for America. Think about that, sir. Think about that. Please. Don't promote policies that are going to hurt people. Don't promote policies that are going to rob one person to give to another person. Don't rob Peter to pay Paul, to use an antiquated term. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That is the Christian thing to do. That is the human thing to do. That is what is right for America. That is common sense. Keeping someone in the house is expensive in the short term, but in the long term, which is what it's all about, the long-term big picture, that's what matters. Don't be short-sighted. Don't chop off your nose to spite your face. You're not going to save America money. In the long term, in 20, 30 years, you're going to cost this country more. America is not a country that doesn't value life. We love life. We value individuals. Part of our lovely, amazing capitalist society is that everyone has the chance to grow and learn from each other. But if we are locked away, sir, then we can't grow. We can't succeed. All we need is a chance to walk through those doors. Don't lock them from the inside. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Wow, you guys, what a great episode that was. At least for me. Was it for you? If you liked it, please do me a favor. Click the like, click the subscribe. It takes you 2 seconds, and it really, really helps me out. Second, please share this and tell a friend. If you want more content, I've got a free blog that comes out once a week on Wednesdays starting in January. And you want more content, I published 2 books called Living Beyond Disability. It's a book series on Amazon. Check them out. They're all in the description below. If you want more content, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Thread, all that good stuff. They're all in the description below. I've got a PayPal and a Cashapp if you want to donate directly. No big deal, just if you want to support. Thank you guys for all the help. Keep on rolling. Keep on living.